Today, we're talking about Noa Essengue and what we should expect from him in year one with the Chicago Bulls. Next, we're going to be talking about Josh Giddey contract details. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. And let's start with rookie Noa Essengue and what we should expect from him in year number one. And so, look, I think that Noa Essengue can be a player that quietly has a good year with the Chicago Bulls. And I think that the ultimate goal, or at least what I would like to see with Noa Essengue, is for him to do something just like Matas Buzelis did a year ago. In fact, I think that it would be a huge just success for this team if Noa Essengue can get into the starting lineup by the end of the year for the Chicago Bulls and do the same things that Matas Buzelis did, which is average, double figures and things like that, and just put up some solid numbers, across the board. Now, I know that that's the lofty goal. And again, that's just what I would love to see from Noa Essengue. I think that that would just lead to just ultimate success here. And really, I think that right there, that would just show the Bulls that they definitely got it right in the draft. And I think that you would have to be excited about that because it just shows you that your franchise is certainly going to be trending in the right direction if Noa Essengue can come in as raw as he is as a prospect and be a starter and be similar to what Matas Buzelis did a season ago. And so that's a big if, but we'll see what happens. But when we're looking at this, just breaking it down from numbers and things like that, in comparison to what Matas Buzelis did, with his rookie season, and starting with the points. And so Matas Buzelis, 8.6 points per game. And so we talked about that yesterday. And so for Noa Essengue, if I'm looking at the points and the goals that I would like to see, I'd say the minimum would be 6 points. I'd say the max there, if you could get him at 10 points, I feel like that would be great to see with him. When he was playing with his team there overseas there, he did average 12 points a game. In fact, you can see it for yourself, 12.4 points a game. But again, this is the NBA, it's a different style of play and everything else. But, you would love to see Noa Essengue get to double figures in his rookie season if he could do that. So I think that would be the max that I would like to see there. Next, seeing him get into the 5 rebounds, I would love to see that from Noa Essengue. I definitely think that that's something that he can do. Matas Buzelis, 3.5 rebounds a game. That's what he finished with for the season. Remember, those totals were up once he got to be a starter. And so I could see that Noa Essengue could easily get to the 5 rebounds a game, especially if he became maybe, a starter or he starts to get a major role early on. Again, I know that that's going to be a stretch, but would love to see that. And then next, as far as going down and looking at the block shots, I would love to see Noa Essengue get to a block shot a game. And so Matas Buzelis finished with 0.9 for the season. Again, just his numbers as a starter was much better. But if he can get to a block shot a game, I think that would just really show you just how he could really be a defensive force, especially once he becomes a bit stronger, kind of fills that frame out and everything else. And then, just understanding the speed of the NBA game and things like that. So, I think that we got a chance to see him in the summer league, and he was fearless for the most part, which is what I love about him. He did get dunked on and everything else, which I love that because that just shows me that he's not scared to go out there and try to block a shot. And that's going to happen as a shot blocker. But I think that that's something that he could do. And then, as far as steals, would love to see him get a steal a game. I think that he definitely has, just that type of versatility and just use that length to get into the passing lanes and things like that to get a steal. I'm not sure what he's going to look like with the on-ball stuff. I think that maybe that could be a bit of a struggle, especially since he's just not as strong as you would want him to be right now, kind of maneuvering through those screens and stuff like that. But off the ball, I think he could definitely get you some steals, and I think that that's going to lead to lead to some offense for him, which is why, if he is able to get some minutes, you could see him trending towards getting to the double figures, because a lot of the stuff would come easy. I could see him filling the lane, with Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Trey Jones, and these guards like that, and kind of finishing well on the break. And then next, when you start to look at the percentages here, he has struggled shooting the three ball, and so that is one of the things that is going to be big for him in his first season here with the Chicago Bulls. Last season for Matas Buzelis, he struggled, coming in, but he finished at 36.1%. And I think that what I like about Noa Essengue is he's willing to shoot the three ball, and he's not afraid to airball it. Like, he will definitely let it fly. And I think that that is one of the things that you just can't teach, and that's that confidence. And so, when you're looking at his numbers here, again, from where he was playing, overseas and everything else, you see that it was a struggle for him. Like, he was under 30%. And I think that this is a player that I would love to see him get to, I'm going to say like 32 to 33% in his first year. I think I would feel very comfortable with that. I know it's not the greatest percentage, but I think that you can kind of definitely, start from there. And I think that he can get better, but I would love to see him be into the 30% range to start off as a rookie. And I think that that just would show me some growth there with him. And then next, when you look at the field goal percentage, I would love to see him get hopefully into the 40 percentile. And so I know 45.4% for Matas Buzelis, 80%, I believe, of his made shots came off of assists. And so that was via clutch points. I saw that in an article yesterday. And so, with Noa Essengue, I can definitely see that a lot of his buckets would come off of assists. And that's okay, especially early on for him, because I think that like Matas Buzelis, you would like to see him get a bit more crafty, be able to go ahead, turn into a three-level scorer, and more importantly, feel more comfortable putting it on the deck. And so I just remember Matas Buzelis early on, he would stand in the corner. And so, with Noa Essengue, I'm pretty sure that he's probably going to be, looking to get the basketball in spots to where he can, score and things like that. I don't think that we necessarily see him come in and just kind of, crossing people up and stuff like that initially. He's going to have to grow into that. So, it's a perfect situation with these guards, and then also too with the system. And so overall, look, I think that Noa Essengue is going to be a factor, even if he doesn't turn out to be Matas Buzelis. And so I know I did a whole bunch of comparisons here. I would love to see him get to that, but I do think that he will have a chance to carve out a role, especially if he can come in, get you the block shot, get you the steal per game, and just show that he has that defensive awareness. I think that Billy Donovan would play him in year one, and then maybe he gives him a chance to perhaps start there. That was suggested into that Clutch Points article yesterday when it was talking about ranking the starting five. And I think for something like that to happen, it certainly means that you probably moved on from Vooch. And so let's see what happens with the Chicago Bulls and their front court. But that's kind of the outlook and I think expectation with Noa Essengue going into year one with the Chicago Bulls. And so next, I wanted to talk about Josh Giddey and his contract. And so we got a chance to see some details around his contract. And so got a chance to see this in an article from Bleacher Nation. And so within that, you can check it out. And so it was written by Elias Schuster. And so if you go there, you can actually see a tweet here from Keith Smith of a Spot Track. And so he was the one that said that Josh Giddey's new contract with the Chicago Bulls is a flat $25 million per season. A league source told Spot Track here. And so Spot Track went ahead and they updated just what his contract looks like right now. And so you can see it on the screen here that you are seeing the 25 flat there for the 4 seasons. And then you're also seeing like that the cap percentage actually goes down. And so I think that that is really where you look at this and say that's a win for the Chicago Bulls, because, if salary cap does go up here, and that percentage goes down, that's going to help the Chicago Bulls as far as going ahead and building with Josh Giddey and the rest of this team here. And then, also too, you see that the Chicago Bulls did not put a player option at the end of this thing as well. And so I think that shows you, just from a negotiation standpoint, that the Chicago Bulls are thinking a little bit more differently as far as just forward thinking here. And then with Josh Giddey, look, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent here in the 29-30 season, only 27 years old. And if he was looking for $30 million, he gets the chance to he met right in the middle with the team at $25 million. And then he's going to get that flat, throughout the seasons here. And I think for Josh Giddey, what this is going to come down to is that if he's able to go out and perform like he did at the end of the season, which I do think that he's going to perform a lot like that. I do believe him when he was saying that he's the player that you saw towards the end. I'm not saying that he has to get a triple-double, but I do think that he's going to ball out. By the time he gets to the end of this contract, we might be looking at just similar to like a Kobe White situation, because, with that 140 rule and him making 25 million, like, it's going to be a situation where it just wouldn't make sense for him to re-sign like that. Like, you would have to go out, wait for that, contract to expire for him to get into free agency and then re-sign him. You wouldn't be able to go ahead and just negotiate with him while he's on that final year, because it just wouldn't make sense. And so let's see what happens there. Josh Giddey would definitely have to go out and, again, ball out with this, but I think that this could be a real type of value deal here for the Chicago Bulls. And again, I think that it puts Josh Giddey in the driver's seat, to get out to free agency very soon. And man, he could be worth a lot more if he can go ahead and just put up the similar numbers from a season ago. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you think that Noa Essengue can take the similar step, just like a Matas Buzelis here? Do you think that Noa Essengue can just really come out and just be an impact player in some way for the Chicago Bulls in year one? And then also, too, let me know what you guys are thinking with Josh Giddey and these contract details that we see right now. Do you think that this was a win-win for the team? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are here. And so, look, as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, go Bulls. See you guys on the next one. Peace.